I run a little research group in the Centre for Analysis of Social Exclusion called LSE Housing and Communities, and for about the last 20 years we've been doing work in neighbourhoods and with community groups and tenants particularly on how social problems play out, how they affect their lives and how policy interacts. At the moment we're quite popular because, for example, the Olympics happened in an area of London where we'd been tracking low-income families for 10 years, so we've been asked to do this before, during and after research with residents in Newham in the Stratford area on how the Olympics have affected their lives and whether there will be any lasting benefits. So that's raised a lot of eyebrows and interest and is actually very fascinating. They did make a big difference. Whether it'll last is an open question. We're also doing work for a housing association in Kensington and Chelsea on whether social landlords should keep low-cost subsidised rented housing for poor people in rich boroughs like Kensington and Chelsea. So we interviewed a lot of tenants in that area to see how they felt and try and match that with government policy. Basically, a lot of government people favour moving people into lower cost areas. There's been a lot of publicity about that. Tenants, on the whole, don't favour that approach. We've also been doing work for other associations on the different impacts of welfare reform. Will it help people get into work or not? Should housing associations go on investing in social conditions in neighbourhoods when really their funding is being scraped back to the bone? And if they don't, then what will happen to their tenants? So basically, because a lot of the current welfare reforms link directly to the cost of housing, housing has risen up the political agenda. And while politicians hope that by saying they're going to build lots of homes, they'll appease public anxiety, in practice, low-income people can't afford to buy. They often can't access private renting because that's too expensive, and social housing is therefore in huge overdemand. That is why I think what we do is incredibly important. How the government's policies will play out is hopefully going to be part of the next stage of the work we're doing at the moment, both in London boroughs and in more county type areas. So there's just a huge need to explain where people are going to end up if they're on low incomes.